have Classic FM on when I paint. And as Delia would know, because she comes to the classes. So you're missing the classes, Delia.
If anybody wants to put a comment in, just pop it into the chat box. The chat box is open.
Oh, it's on mute. Who was that who peeped in?
Okay, I'm just going to wait 1 more minute and then we'll start officially. Close the gate, please. So Delia says she misses the Saturday afternoon classes.
I see that.
Just a little bit. Okay, leave it. Mom, leave it. So you said, do you do classes? Well, did you do classes every Saturday?
Every Saturday, Monday. Are we on now?
Almost. I haven't officially welcomed you yet. So Carol says she's missing painting with you, Justin, so much.
Oh, okay. Miss you too, Carol. The classes hopefully will start soon in the, maybe on level 2 or level 1. But yes, I do take the classes in my where my studio is now, but I only take 3 people in the class, and myself it's 4. I keep it small so I can watch everybody, and I've got a very beady eye.
Oh, that's a bit frightening.
Is that your mom behind you?
That's my mother, yes. Can you see?
Hello, Mom.
Hi. Anyway, let's do this officially. Justin Abelman, welcome to Life in a Garden online eventing. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks, and thanks for inviting me.
Such a pleasure. Justin, who are you?
Who am I? Well, it goes back a long time. I'm a was a Spanish dancer, which was a great part of my life.
Yes.
And now I'm a full-time artist. Where do we start? Should I start?
Let's talk about where you grew up. So where did you start life?
So I was born in Yeovil.
All the best people are born in Yeovil.
In Raymond Street, and when the nurse came to slapping me to catch my first breath, I think they slapped my mother for giving birth to me.
Oh no, there's no way.
No, I'm just teasing. But I grew up in Yeovil, and then
yes.
I went to Yeovil Boys High School and Bernard Patley Nursery School.
Oh yeah, nice Jewish nursery school. You're a nice Jewish boy, Justin.
I'm a nice Jewish boy. I don't go to shul much, and I do eat bacon.
Yeah.
And then I went to, from growing up in Yeovil, we moved the family to Glen Hazel. And then I went back to Killarney, where I stayed for 18 years, and now I'm living in Forest Town in a beautiful old house, 1920s house, where I teach and all my creativity happens.
Where in Forest Town are you? You know, Jacob Zuma used to live in Forest Town.
I know, it's a couple of blocks away.
Oh, is it?
But yeah, we could always hear loud party noises from his room. You're not on full screen. It's just a picture of me dancing.
Well, that's exactly what I wanted to discuss, because you mentioned it in passing. So I thought we would actually discuss your dancing career. Speak to me about dancing.
Okay, so as a kid, I was always very musical. I remember even as a little boy in nappies, I used to, when the radio was on, I would jump up and down to the music and doing, I don't know, some sort of jig or other. And then I used to go to the Estetfords at the City Hall in Johannesburg, and I used to watch all the Spanish dancing, and I just loved it. The castanets and the rhythm and the guitar. And at that stage, I had a cousin Shirley, who was a very good dancer, and she was learning with a teacher called Madame Gitanella. Madame, and she was a real madam. She had a studio in Harrison Street, in Art House, which was about 10 stories high. And on each floor, there was a different form of teaching. There was one was tap dancing, one was ballet, one was elocution, one was Spanish dancing, and Gitanella had the 7th floor. So I went, I was about 8, and I said, I want to do Spanish dancing, Mom, and she took me to see Gitanella, and she was this tall, thin woman with jet black hair and a low black bun and kiss curls black and red lips and dark eyes and red nails, and I was sort of quite a daunting figure, and she tapped me on the head and said, so you want to learn how to dance? So I said, yes, I do. And so I was about 8. By 9, I was in the Stedfords and festivals, winning cups and medals and winning championships. And then at the Stedfords, the rival teacher was a woman called Mercedes Molina, who had a dance company at that stage.
Yeah.
And she came to me and said, do you want to come and join my company? So I said, well, I've been with Gitanella a long time, and I don't know, from 8 till 15. And I spoke to my mom, and she said, well, okay. So I left Gitanella, and she was very upset because I was a star pupil. And I joined Mercedes. I was in the company as a soloist dancer. And I danced with the company, till 44, until the company, she died when I was 44, sadly, of breast cancer. But in the interim, I'd been to Spain in my early 20s. I was about 23, 24, and I learned with the best of the best. That's the late Mercedes Molina on the screen now, with a TV production called Carmen. I was the Toreador. I was thin and slim.
Quite a hottie there, Justin, huh?
Sorry?
Quite a hottie. You actually look a bit Spanish.
Lots of fans. Sadly, Mercedes also passed away of breast cancer in 1978, but the company went on, carried on for another 10 years. So, as I said, I danced till I was 44. But when I was in my early 20s, I went to Madrid and I studied with the best of the best teachers for about a year and lived in Madrid. And then I joined a company in Madrid, the Carmen Mora Spanish Dance Company. And we toured Europe for 2 years, dancing all over Europe. And that was amazing. Living out of a suitcase, I hated. And when I got back to South Africa, Mercedes said, no, you've got to come. She wrote to me actually and said, please come and join my company. We've got loads of TV shows on the go. That's another picture of me dancing with Gillian on the left, who's in Australia, and sadly Charmaine on the extreme left passed away very young of brain tumor. Brilliant dancer. But getting back to, so I joined the company in Spain and toured, and then Mercedes wrote and said, you've got to come and join my company. And I did. And we did lots of TV shows. In fact, the very first Saturday night, TV was broadcast. It was on SABC 1, I think, or 2. It was the Mercedes Molina production of Carmen.
Yeah.
I was about 26. And it was the first major, it was a Saturday night, and it was the first Saturday TV was showing. And I was Escamillo the Toreador, dressed in red, and I came on and I did a swirling with a cape, and Mercedes was Carmen. And when I look back now, I've still got it on video, but it's very dated. But we did about 4 or 5 TV productions, and I was, of course, the lead dancer in the company, one of the leads. And so to get back, after working in Spain and dancing and studying and performing, came back and carried on with my dancing career till 44. And then when Mercedes died, I was about 28, 29. So her partner took over the company and carried on for another 12 or 14 years. And then when within the company sort of, I got to the stage when I was 44 and I thought, no, I'm getting too many aches and pains. And, I used to sit in the dressing room and think, I can't do this anymore. And I need to concentrate on my art. So I had a wonderful career as a dancer. I saw the world. I loved the people I met. I'm still in contact with a lot of the people I danced with. Sadly, a lot of, God knows what, died or killed.
Shuffled off.
accidents or disappeared or immigrated but a lot are the two girls on the screen now. As I said, Charmaine on the left passed away sadly when she was about 28. Brilliant dancer. The one on the right is a nice Jewish girl, Gillian Kaplan. She lives in Australia. And Gunther, the guitarist, is still around. And so all these wonderful people I met, and the experiences, and traveling and performing in Israel and in France and in Greece, and it was an amazing career. But I knew it would end sometime. And
when did you become interested in art, in painting, per se?
Okay, let me first, before we go on, I have to show you what I've still got left.
Okay, hang on.
My castanets.
Hang on 1 sec. I'm just going to put you back on the...
These are my castanets.
Oh, stunning. You still know how to use them.
I'll play a little bit for you. So the castanets, when I first danced, I was 9. You bought them at the Carnival Novelty. They were plastic with a little transfer on. And at one of the competitions, they snapped in half, cracked, because they were plastic. Then that went on to cherry wood, which I got in Madrid. And then these.
Oh, sure.
Justin, I can't hear you. You've gone quiet.
I don't know why I've gone quiet.
But you weren't making any noise with the castanets.
No, I am. Can't you hear?
No. Oh, now, yes. No.
What's wrong with
Hold them close to the speaker.
Yes. No.
No. We lost you again.
Yeah.
No, we're not hearing you.
Oh, no. Anyway.
So where's the ole? Ole.
So this is my only souvenir I've got left.
Who's leopard crawling behind you?
I know, that's James. He set this up for me.
With his bum in the air.
With his bum in the air. He was listening, but he disappeared. And all I've got left with my dancing career is a waistcoat with purple waistcoat with lots of sequins.
Does it still fit?
No ways. It goes sort of, I think there's about a 12-inch gap that I can't, it doesn't fit. And the rest of
there goes James again. Hi, James. We can see you.
Hi. Come say hello.
Say hello, James.
Hi, everyone. I'm very shy.
Don't be ridiculous. Come say hello.
I'm just listening to see.
It's the sound.
The sound.
He's sorting out the sound.
He's sorting out the sound. Okay.
I don't know. Anyway. Disappearing now on the screen.
Yeah, you're disappearing now. Come back. All is forgiven.
Started slow.
James, maybe that's causing it to disappear.
There's like a James. We've got the end of the spectacles there. James, you're making a spectacle of yourself.
Come have a look. Say hello.
We can't hear you now. Your sound's gone very low.
Oh, the modern technology, really. James, I think that sound you put on is not. Can you hear me now?
Yes, that's much better.
Okay, so James, are you going to come say hello? Sure. Let me okay.
Can we hear the castanets again now that you've got sound back?
Sure.
Can we go ole? Everybody, you've got to go ole.
Okay.
Unmute yourself so you can go ole.
The castanets, there's the right hand. That's the tone, and the left hand.
Oh, interesting.
Slightly different tones. So you always do the roll on this hand.
Oh.
And the beats on this.
No, it's not happening.
Huh?
It's not happening. We're not hearing you. Yeah. It's okay.
There's no alert.
Don't stress,
Yeah,
Justin.
the recital is over. So,
let's stick to art. Hey?
So now that was my dancing career. I stopped at 44. 2 hip replacements later, I still love flamenco. I still love the music. I go to every show that's available, and I watch a lot on YouTube. And now my art. Okay, so I was always drawing. My father was a country rep, and he used to rep for children's clothing. And he used to have these big cardboard flat boxes where you had the samples, which you would go and show the customers and hold the little garments up. And so I'd ask him for the boxes, and I'd always draw little things on them, little figures and things. Anyway, at 16, I went to art school. And I was young. I left school at standard 8. I hated school.
Me too. I hated school as well.
Highlands Boys High. I was in the C class with all the immigrants, and I couldn't bear it. And all my friends were in the A class, the dentists, the doctors, the psychologists, and I was the creative, talented one, but not good at school. So I went to art school at 16, and I loved it. This was at the Johannesburg School of Art in Bourke Street in
Bourke Street nog.
Bourke Street in Joburg Park, when it was still very fashionable to live there. And I'd signed up to do a 3-year course on graphic design. What I did was the first year I loafed, and we used to bunk, and I used to go to movies in the morning, and came the end of the year, they failed me. And when I got through, my parents said, what are you going to do? And you need to have a career, and how can you, we're spending all this money, and now you failed. So they went to see the headmaster, who was at that stage George Boyes. He was quite a well-known artist. He died. I don't know if you remember. And he said, look, your son has got the talent, but we're going to put him up on trial for 3 months in second year. So, of course, instead of sitting at the back of the class where I sat right in the front. And I met this fabulous Israeli woman called Mandi Friedman. And
no
Billa was
about
no, she was from Israel.
Yeah.
She was about 26, and I was about 16.
Did she lead you astray?
Oh, she said, stick with me, and we'll get you through. The end of second year, Billa and I tied as top students second year. There were about 150 students. Third year, I was the top student. And I finished my graphic design. Was she still friendly
at that point?
No, we were good friends, and then she left to go to Israel.
Okay.
But she's now in Israel. I haven't spoken to her for quite a while. But then I got a job in advertising as a graphic designer. I saved. I was earning 100 Rand a month at Abelman was the advertising agency. I saved 20 Rand a month.
Yep.
And then I booked a flight to London. And then I got a job in London, and I worked there.
When are we talking about? What year are we in here?
When Jan van Riebeeck arrived, I was on the Dromedaris.
Yeah.
No, we're talking about 19.
But everything's your fault.
47, 50, 1966, 67, 68. And then I actually worked in London. I hated the weather, and I hated just everything about London. Now, of course, I love it to go for a holiday. I came back and I carried on working for Lindsay Smithers, which was a big agency at the time. I think they're still going. And I worked as a graphic designer for about 8 years. And then I opened a little framing shop in Orange Grove. It was like a framing shop art gallery called Mostly Frames.
Was that on Louis Botha Avenue?
Louis Botha Avenue.
Where on Louis Botha?
268 Louis Botha Avenue. Do you remember Stan's, the electrical?
Yeah.
Diagonally opposite.
Yeah.
And then I started to paint.
I grew up in Orange Grove.
Okay, 12th Street I grew up in, 119 12th Street.
We were in Raglan Street.
Now this is right towards the Linksfield border.
Yeah.
And then on my many travels, after I'd been to art school and during my dancing career, after one of the one of the seasons we had performed in Greece for 2 months, I took a holiday to Sweden, to Greece, Mykonos, where I met a lot of Swedish people, and I made very good friends with them. And I met a guy called Erland Peterson, and he said, "Why don't you come to Sweden for a holiday?" So I said, "Well, we'll talk about it." And I thought, "Where do you stay?" And he said he stays in a little island called Gotland in the Baltic Sea.
Wow.
Verwees, I didn't know where Gotland was. I came back and I looked in the library where Gotland was. It's a tiny little island which was a, excuse me, a Viking island originally. And
Ragnar
he invited
Lothbrok.
me there. Sorry?
Ragnar Lothbrok. Do you ever watch the Vikings?
No,
Oh, okay.
I do
You
sometimes.
should. The
I
eye
just need
candy is fabulous.
I just need it.
Where's it going?
Orange,
Oh,
sugar-free, mind you. So then he invited me, and I sort of went for about 6 weeks, and he stayed in this little house, and the village had cobbled streets, and we'd go bicycle riding with all these fields of poppies and bluebells and cows grazing, everything that you imagine from a Hans Christian Andersen fairy storybook. It was gorgeous. It was very flat. The beaches were pebbles, but the island itself, on the one side you could see Lithuania in the distance. My grandparents came. Excuse me. The other side you could see in the distance Stockholm.
Oh, wow.
So I spent 6 weeks there, but on the island they had these galleries which had a lot of this naive art. So now we're talking of about 1970s, early 70s. And I just fell in love with the charm and the beauty of naive art. And I thought, well, I can do this. And I came back at that time. I had my shop, and my parents were still alive, and they were looking after the shop when I went away. And
Like good Jewish parents usually do.
yeah, and I paid them, of course.
Oh, you
But,
did?
and also,
I didn't.
Sorry, Mom.
I did a lot of touring with a company, Mercedes Molina company. So they would be there my mother worked in the mornings, and then my dad. So it was great because I could get away without being tied down, because I was quite a free spirit. And then when I got back from Sweden, I thought, I can do this naive art. And I got library books out. And then I started doing all these drawings in my shop and painting. And then I put them up in the shop. I had no idea what to price them at, but or anything about it. And I started reading about Henry Rousseau, who was the great master of naive art. I think he died in the early 1910 or 20s. He did all those beautiful tropical jungle scenes. And I loved Chagall, and I loved Modigliani. So Modigliani's
I like
had those
Modigliani.
long necks. Chagall is the Jewish artist that did all the floating ethereal figures and all the whimsical. And then I had Henry Rousseau. So they were all my mentors. I just loved their work. So with the inspiration I got from looking and reading and seeing, I started doing my naive paintings, and I started selling them in my little gallery framing shop. And I sold one, and then another, and another, and another. And then I thought, well, this is doing well. One day I'll hope to go full time to my painting.
Stunning, yeah.
And then the Craig Gallery in Norwood at that stage offered me an exhibition, which I went, and he guided me. And I was about 28 then, and I would say that was I can't even remember the year, but that exhibition was a total sellout. And then he invited me to a lot of group exhibitions. And then subsequently, I did a lot of group shows and a lot of solo exhibitions around Johannesburg. And then I went to New York and exhibited there, but mainly in South Africa, in Cape Town, in Durban. And I thought one day I'm going to go full time with my painting, because it's my greatest passion. My dancing career had finished. I couldn't do that anymore. I'd lost the feel for it. I loved it. I loved it, should I say, but I'd had enough of it. And then, of course, my body started playing up with
Yeah, well, you
with all the
danced for a
80s.
long time.
Yeah, from 8 till 44.
Yeah, it's a
And
long
then,
career.
and I had to have the hip replacement. So, but the painting was more it was more of a journey on my own. The dancing was a company of 15, 20 dancers. So we were together as a group and we performed as a group and we shared the camaraderie and the fun and the laughter. And I really miss that, and the people and the friends and touring and having such a great time. But I knew that would end. And then so getting back to my painting career, after painting and selling and having exhibitions, I thought one day I'll go full time. And that was around about 1980, which is 40 years ago. Decided I had to close the shop because, as we know, Orange Grove went down the drain and the shop was just not viable anymore. And I was fed up with running a business. I just wanted to go full-time painting. But I was very nervous because I thought, where do I start? There was no Facebook. The internet was there was no internet. Well, how do I go about it? But I thought, if I believe in myself and I believe in my talent, I'm sure I can get there. And I persevered. And I worked hard. I really did. And to date, I've sold over 3,000 paintings, and they're all over the world.
That's incredible, Justin.
Yeah, and it's been a wonderful career. In a way, my painting was far more rewarding for me because it was a solo journey. Rather than the dancing, it was a different aspect of my life, which I loved, but the painting is more, I'm on my own.
Yeah.
And now I feel, it took me a long time to feel confident. And now having sold so many works, I feel very comfortable in the medium I work with. I work in acrylics. I've never used oils. I did one painting in oils. I work thoroughly before I think of a theme. I do my drawing one after the other. And when I'm happy with the drawing, then I transfer it onto the canvas with carbon paper. But I do a drawing when the drawing is complete. I trace it, and then I place it and place the images and wiggle them around. I'll show you. This is the drawing. I don't know if you'll see it. It's the latest one. You can't really see.
Yeah, we can see it. Just don't. Is it a lady in a hat is that an owl on her head?
That's her hair. She's got an outrageous hairstyle. And there's an owl on her head. And then she's got a little dress on, and there's a village on the dress.
Oh, sweet. Is that a shopping basket? There's a cat in the basket.
And a little owl. There's an owl in the shopping basket.
Okay.
And there's a village on the side. And then there's flowers in the foreground. And she's holding a little wand with a heart on.
Is that the little heart that you put in every painting?
Yeah, I put a heart in every painting. This one now, so that's basically the painting. So I've done the drawing, and then I start with the background first. So I'll show you this. This is what I've started now. It's a bit blurry, but I do the background, the sky, and then I do the sea, and then I do the green hills. And then I start doing the green hills in the foreground and in the bottom. And then you can see the white outlines of where I've traced her. But I couldn't see the drawing properly, so I used a white pen because the carbon didn't show in the darker areas. So
do you always work like that? You never work freehand?
No, I don't. My work is very precise. I think it's from my graphic design training because you had to be very specific and very precise when you with graphic design of course when I was working in advertising, there was no such thing as computer graphics. So if, say, you were wanting to promote a woman's perfume, I would design the logo, the package, I was in the design studio. So everything had to be crisp and clean, but it always had that feeling, that whimsical feeling of naive art. So I did a lot of packages, a lot of designs for that, always with a fun, whimsical, naive feeling. So that graphic design gave me a very good training, which I use today. My work is crisp and clean. I know when to stop. I don't overwork the paintings. I've got a very good eye from my training as a graphic designer. So that stood me in good stead with my painting today, because I see a lot of artists clutter their work so much that it doesn't breathe. And
that would be my house you're talking about.
Sorry?
That would be my house you're talking about.
No, I'm not talking of lots of work on the wall. I'm saying the actual painting.
I know,
it's
but my
very,
house is very spacey.
busy.
You mean like
yeah,
this?
It's very busy.
Can you see
I
this
can,
one?
yes,
Very
I
busy.
can see it.
My old goat.
Yeah. No, it's fun. I can see it, but I need to see it closely.
Very,
but it
very
looks
busy.
like great fun. So I think carefully, and I place everything carefully, and I don't overwork the painting. I know when to stop. I know when to, when the painting is complete. Maybe the next day I'll have a look and say, well, I need to tweak this or tweak that, or change this or change that. I don't know who Melanie is. Who's Melanie?
Melanie's in England.
Oh.
So I'll
hello,
ask
Melanie.
you those. There's a couple of comments there. I'll come to them just now and
Okay.
ask you them.
So where were we up to? So my painting, yeah. So and then I went, after I closed my shop, I went full-time painting. That was in 1980. So I've been painting for 40 years, naive art, full-time, exhibiting and selling and showing my work. And of course, through social media, Facebook, I joined 7 years ago. That has been amazing because my work has reached like worldwide. People from all over the world contact me on Facebook, from Poland, from Russia, from the Philippines, inquiring about my work, inquiring about the prices. My work gets shared. Facebook posted that my work had been 500,600,000 times it had been liked. So that's very affirming for me. And of course, yeah, Facebook has been amazing. I'm also on Pinterest, and I'm also on Instagram. Of course, it's hard, self-promoting your work. I don't really work much through galleries now because they add on, as you know, such a high commission of 40 or 50%. So what I do is now all the work I'm doing, I promote on Facebook, and I would promote it at the price what I would get if without the gallery markup.
Yeah.
So everybody's getting a good deal. I'm getting what I get through the gallery once the commission is taken, and the clients are getting, they're not having the markup.
Getting a painting at cost, basically.
Yeah, and I'm not greedy, and I keep it well priced and affordable. And as whoever's watching can look on my Facebook page, Just Abelman Naive Artist. There's over 10,000 likes, and on Instagram and on Pinterest. So that's how I really promote a lot of my work through Facebook. I've been on the radio, I've been on television, this is the South African Artist magazine. I was in this issue as one of the featured artists. I'll try and show you. I don't know if you can see, but
yeah, we're actually going to see one or two of those paintings today, funny enough.
Yeah, so there's that there, and then they went on. Sorry, it's difficult to show you.
Justin, we're actually covering a bit of Vishalia's question over here. She said, "I need some advice as a new full-time artist. You've inspired me to start a series of naive artworks. I've never done a set or a series of artworks before, usually only commissions. My question is, when I'm creating the series, do I do the entire series first and then show it to my social media followers? Or is it okay to show them each piece as is it okay each piece as I create? What's the best strategy in your opinion?"
Well, I wouldn't show everything at once because I find with my postings, if I post 10 or 12 postings, it becomes too much for the viewer to look. Post each one separately. I think you get more of a response, and also people can concentrate and focus on that one image. And then when you've posted each one and you've, say, done a series of 6, then you can post the group on a group posting. I think you get, for me, I find that you get more, if it's one posting, more comments and more attraction than posting too many at once, because people can't focus on all of them. And one, they can focus on a specific painting and look, and then I will, people will ask me, you know, what inspired you, or how did you do it, or why did you do it? There's so many naive artists out there in the world. I run a group on Facebook called Naive Art Extraordinaire. I started it when I joined Facebook. So now there are about nearly 9,000 members. So I'm in touch of what's happening all over the world with naive art. So I'm keeping abreast with everything that's happening. In fact, there was an exhibition which I was invited to, which opened yesterday in Poland, in Katowice. But of course, to get the work over and for me to fly over, it's so expensive. And I get invited to all these naive art exhibitions. And I'd love to go, but I mean, you know, to send a small painting, the one I showed you, this size, is about, to post with a courier is 2,000 Rand for one. So to send paintings, you know, 6 or 8 to a show in Poland or wherever, it's going to cost me a couple of thousand Rand. And
10,000 Rand and you haven't started.
Yeah, and then I've got to get the work back. But what I do is the group actually keeps me abreast of what's happening worldwide. And I post my work quite often on the group. As I mentioned, the group is called Naive Art Extraordinaire. You're all welcome to join if you haven't already. You'll see fabulous postings. What was that?
My mother looked at me as if to say, are you on the group? So I answered a question before she asked it. I said, yes, I'm on it. She said, okay.
Okay, so you see all the people that are posting, and I post a lot of beautiful images, and when people post a lot of nonsense, I just delete. Because, and at the top of the group, I say it's only for naive artists, but you get some people who post nonsense and they think it's naive. And then if it's bordering on naive, I'll say, this is not naive art, you know, please read above. But people chance it and they post abstracts, and I want to promote naive art because I think I'm an ambassador for naive art in South Africa. I mean, by running the group, there are a lot of professional naive artists who post their work, and I see what's happening, and my work is also getting the exposure. And I enjoy the posting, and it doesn't take long because every day I check. But because of all my contacts on Facebook, well, friends, maybe like, they're not so cool. They're 4,800.
I don't know how you do that. I've got just under 2,000.
They're not friends, they're acquaintances. Most of them are artists. So whenever they post on Facebook, I see what they're posting, and if it's nice, I share it to the group. And because not everybody's friendly with everybody, they don't see it. It's all fresh work for them.
Yeah.
So they're getting so people say, how do you get so much naive artwork? Where do you source it from? And I say, well, look, because of the people I know, and most of them are naive artists, I see, and then I get a lot of friend requests from naive artists. So I see their work, immediately I post it, because naive art is it's so underexposed. And in South Africa, people look at it and they say, oh, my child can do that. I've had an exhibition where I was eavesdropping, and there were 2 ladies saying, oh, this is fabulous. My child can do this as well. So they didn't know I was the artist, and I said, how old is your child? They said, oh, he's 12. He's been getting A's for all his work. I said, madam, if your child can do this at 12, he's brilliant. Because I'm 44 at that stage, and it's taken me a lifetime to get where I am. And so it doesn't just happen overnight. There's a lot of skill in naive art. There's a lot of thought. And most of all, you've got to have the creative ability to create these images in your mind, which you transfer onto the paper. And I have the added sense of humor, which comes out in my normal, generally, everyday life. I've got I think, a funny sense of humor. So I try and add that to the paintings, the offness, the
Yes.
out of proportion, as you saw with the painting, the drawing I showed you of the woman with the owl on her head. I mean, where do you see a woman with an owl on her head and an owl in a basket? So I try and add the camp and the offness in the work. So it creates fun, it creates a whimsical feel, and people want to live with artwork on their wall that they can enjoy. And especially, surprisingly enough, through lockdown, since last month, the beginning, I've done 4 commissions and 4 paintings.
That's
And I thought,
absolutely incredible.
I'm not going to sell anything because nobody's got the money. But I think people are sitting at home, facing their 4 walls and feeling miserable, and they want something cheerful. So, of course, when I've sold them, if it's been to Cape Town, I've couriered it, or Durban, or wherever, or out the country. But if it's local, people come and collect, and then I show them the work that's available. Of course, everybody's wearing masks. And so it's been the Corona story has been good for my painting. I hate the fact that I have only left the house 3 times. And I hate the fact that my classes have stopped. I have I've got about 17 students. I teach a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday morning, 3 in a class, and Saturday, 3 in a class in the afternoon. And I do sort of alternate with the Saturday classes. And the classes are fun. Most of the students really enjoy it. Delia, who's watching, did a fabulous car, and I posted it on Facebook.
As long as you're not calling Delia a fabulous cow, okay?
No, she's not a fabulous cow, but she painted a fabulous cow, and she's already got 80 likes. And I'm so
Well
proud
done,
that
Delia.
that she's working on her own, and she sends me to crit, and then another student, one of the other students phones me and says, what can I do and how do but a lot of them are scared to work on their own. They prefer to come and work in the class because they feel a little bit lost, because I guide them all the way through the painting, and I spoon feed them, and so I'm only too happy if people can work on their own and be creative on their own, because you've all got to start somewhere along the line. But it's not easy. It's not.
The thing about being in a class is that you feed the energy off each other as well. So it's very different. Working in solitary is very different to working, with a class where you're bouncing the ideas and you're bouncing energy off one another. And there's a sense you have an energy in a class which you don't have if you're working alone.
No, absolutely. Sorry.
I do a class on a Wednesday morning, but we do it via Zoom as well. We all sit with our projects in front of us, and there's a teacher in the class. She's hanging around in the background, and we all sit and talk. So about 4 of us sit and work for 3 hours via Zoom. You could teach online.
I know, but it's just, I'm so hands-on with the classes because I have to show them textures and techniques, and just holding up a painting. How do I, I'm not so au fait with Zoom and all the rest of it. I'm very hands-on with the class. If they ask me what do I think, and I have one student, Bernice, she's quite funny, so she'd hold it up and show me the painting, and she says, what do I think? I'll say, She says, tell me if it looks like my tochus or not. So I say, well, show me your tochus and I'll compare. People who don't know what a tochus is, it means a bum in Jewish. So we have a lot of laughs, and I keep it light, I keep it fun, and I have how I teach the classes is I have very much the way I do my own painting. I will do the drawing, I will show the painting on an easel, and then I will, in fact, there's a tracing which they can do, and they can choose their own colors, and we'll work through and choose their own colors or their own themes. But a lot of the artists the students are too scared to work on their own. They need my guidance, and I think a lot of it is it's fun for them. It's an outing, and they Hannah, who said she'd be on. I don't know where she is, but she said she'd watch. And we have Classic FM playing, and we have tea and cake or biscuits each week. Somebody brings a cake or biscuits. The classes are 2.5 hours. We chat. It's relaxed. My house is full of artworks. So they come and they see all the artworks on the walls and in the dining room. So it gives them a feeling of a creative space and energy, which they see. And as I showed you, the studio is very cozy. I can turn the
Yeah, show us again.
Oh, there you
Hi, James.
there.
Oh, look at all those orchids. Who loves orchids? Phalaenopsis. Justin, if you're talking, I can't hear you.
I said it's a trestle table I work on.
Okay.
So when I have the students, I only have 3 and could fit 2 on the one side and 1 on the other, and I'm next to it. So I have a very beady eye, and I'm watching everybody as we paint and as we go along. It's I can see immediately. And I also have to watch that I'm not too nasty on the work. I'm always very subtle.
Meow.
But sometimes I think, oh, this is really terrible. But most of the students are good, I must say. They work well, they listen to what I say, and they take away from them something from each class. And they enjoy it. I've got a student, Zelda, who's 84.
Oh, lovely.
I mean, she doesn't even know what Zoom is. She's not on because she wouldn't even know. But she comes and she loves it. She loves the social aspect.
You give her a facial?
I'll give her a facial if she's good. But she often brings me pickled herring, and she brings me babkas that she makes, and she enjoys it, and we have a good laugh. And then, she'll do her work, and she'll say, oh, it's shocking. I say, Zelda, what do you think of it? I say, Zelda, you're right, it is shocking. And then she'll say, is it really shocking? And I'll say, yes, it is shocking. And she'll say, is it really shocking? And so how many times do I tell you it's shocking? Then I'll tell her, what you need to do is do this and listen to me and stop talking so much because you're not concentrating. Because I've marked with an X, I say, this must be green. And then she does exactly the opposite. And I say, but now that's not green. You've done the next to it is green. So I watch them all the time and see what they're doing and how they're doing it. But on the whole, the classes are great fun. I really enjoy it. And I've kept the prices pretty reasonable. And I supply the paints and the canvases.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
And they bring their own brushes now. And it's a fun 2.5 hours. The morning class is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday from 10 till 12:30. And the Saturdays 2 until 4:30. I have 17 students at the moment. They're all asking, when are we coming? When are we missing the classes? When are we coming back? And I can't afford to, for my health issues also, to start too
Yeah, you can't
soon.
risk
And,
it at this point.
This virus is horrendous. So maybe when we get to level 1, I will think about starting again. But to teach with a mask, I mean, can you imagine?
Yeah.
And for students to wear masks, it's not very conducive.
Justin, let's talk about
Yeah.
your work now. I want to show
Okay.
I want to show some pictures, and I would want you to, comment on what's what.
Sure.
So let's go here.
So that's dancing.
Yeah, I know. Give me a second. I just need to get there. So let's start with this one over here. I love this. I put this on the poster. I wondered if it was Lady Godiva, but she got clothes on.
Yeah, this is called the White Stallion. A student of mine bought it. It's a lot of, I first painted the background, all the houses and the flowers below. I think you've cropped a lot of the picture. You can't really see it.
You can't, the frame of the Zoom cuts it out, sorry.
Okay. And then when I've done the background, but of course I do the drawing first. And then when I'm happy with the drawing, I do the background first the sky and then the foreground. Then I start adding the buildings and then the background. I do 2 coats and everything, or otherwise I undercoat in white. So you get a fresh, crisp color to start.
Okay.
And then I use a lot of techniques, blotching with a roller towel or with blue paper. And then when I'm happy with the buildings and the flowers, then I add the horse. A lot of blotching to get that translucent look. You can see on the horse there's like a little bit of turquoise showing through.
Yeah.
And the lady I do with a solid color. And that she's obviously I undercoat in white, and then I add the color. And then as I go along, it changes. I add this or I change that. But this one I actually sold within, I think, a week of I think Carol bought it, a student. I think she saw it in the house when she came for lessons, and she absolutely loved it. So this sold within a week. It is a beautiful painting. I often repost it on Facebook. It's called The White Stallion. It was acrylic on canvas. And it's got a slight Russian feel. You can see these sort of, this...
yeah, the onion tower over here.
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit Russian and a little bit... I think my roots come from Lithuania. My grandparents came from Latvia. And I think that's why I have such an affinity to Mark Chagall's work. I try and add, there's a lot of Jewish feel into my work. Sometimes I add a Star of David in the work. This one I created.
This is called the GNU, what? The GNU?
Gunab country. God knows where I got the name. As I was creating these species, I thought they look like gunabs. So I thought, what's a gunab? Guenab. And I thought it's a cross between a zebra and a buffalo and whatever else you want it to be. So I did these drawings and I created them using with the horns, that fun sort of curliness in the horns, and then added the whimsical upside down birds and the bird on the bottom looking inquisitively at each other. And then I thought, let me do the gunabs in red, just for a bit of to zing, to pop.
I like the little nose ring there.
Yeah, the little nose ring and then the flowers. So that kind of, it's just a wacky painting. This one is available. It's quite large. It's a biggish canvas, but it's a great fun piece. Acrylic on canvas, framed in a white box frame. I enjoyed this because I didn't have any strict rules. It wasn't a commission where you have to follow a certain, feel what you're given to do. So this was, I must be honest, I enjoy doing my own work rather than commissions, because commissions, you kind of dictate it to what the client does or says what they want. Whereas my own work, I just do carte blanche, whatever I want, and add the whimsical, and I add the fun, and I add the offness and the humor. And I mean, so this was a newish piece. I finished about a month ago. It's hanging in the dining room at the moment.
Justin, where's the heart? I can't see the heart on this one. Did you forget to put it in?
No, I did put it in, but you can't see it because the picture's cropped on the bottom. There's a lot of... I can't see
it on the bottom either, I have to tell you.
No, you've got a lot of... there's a lot of flowers on the bottom, and it's hidden there. I normally hide it on the bottom with my signature. Unfortunately, the painting is cropped now on Zoom, so you can't see the heart.
Okay.
So it is there. I make sure the last thing I do is the heart and my signature. Okay, that one is also another fun one. I posted that recently. It's called Even Red Elephants Can Fly. Now, also, this is cropped on the bottom. This one is sold. There's the fish looking at this amazement up at the red elephant flying. It's sort of a Noah's Ark. And the bird is looking inquisitively down at the fish. And there's another fish on the painting to the right, which is unfortunately cropped. And somebody said to me, well, I've never seen a red elephant. So I said, well, how do you know there isn't one if you've never seen it? So they laughed at that response, because on Facebook you get all these funny comments. So I said, you wouldn't know if there is one unless you've seen it. And then, of course, there's the little raindrops from the cloud dropping. I love those little raindrops. I do often where it's a thunderstorm, but it's only dropping over the two trees. And it's adding that whimsical fun and quirkiness to the painting. The sea took a lot of different textures and sponging and layers of colors on the bottom, the turquoisey, and the colors I use there is viridian, and cobalt blue and Payne's gray and adding white. So there's layers and layers on the sea, and it gives you that beautiful, rich turquoisey, greeny blue color. And then the fish I did in the blue, which just pops. Of course, the fish were done in white first, and then I added the coloring. And the little bird, I thought it could only be yellow. It must be yellow, so it really pops, so that it doesn't all, just blend in. One has to be careful when you're painting that. The colors, you have to be careful. Fortunately, I was blessed with a good sense of color. It comes very natural to me. When I do the drawing, the painting, I can visualize immediately, even in my mind, the colors, what it's going to be. I'm seeing the colors in my mind as I go along through the journey. They change. Can
you see the finished product in your head?
Yes, absolutely. This one is called Frolicking Frida. No, sorry, this is called Two Pink Shoes. Now she's on total point. I thought to myself, she was an ex-ballet dancer, so I'm creating the story in my mind. And she's frolicking through the fields, on point. God knows how she balances. And then the dress, I went to the Oriental Plaza some stage when I was doing this painting. I had to go there for door handles or something. And I saw this matching duvet cover and pillowcase and curtains. They were all in this material design, like a full-piece matching. Yeah. And I thought it was so over the top. So I took a picture of it. So then I did the dress with this kind of design. Obviously, I changed it a bit.
I like the frilly little bits at the elbow, at the wrists.
Sorry?
I like the frilly little bits at the wrists.
Yeah, that I use a thin white pen to do the little frills. And then the houses I do very topsy-turvy, which adds the whimsical feel. And I like to angle the houses. It gives movement to the work. And it's not just straight on, direct. And then the hills in the background are like washes over the sky. So there's washing and blotching and washing and blotching. So it's not a thick paint the hills are done. And then those white trees are my signature tree. I call them lollipop trees. I do them in a lot of paintings, and often in the lollipop trees I hide the little red heart. So nobody else, that was something I created years ago, the lollipop tree, and I've used it in a lot of paintings, if you see. So that's also sold. It's I think this is hanging in, gosh, I can't even remember, in London, I think. Called it, I did two. The first one is Two Pink Shoes, and then I changed it and did Frolicking Frida. Okay, so now we're going on to, this was a commission I did. They wanted Jerusalem, and they wanted a Jewish feel to it. This took a long time. I had to look up references of various buildings, and the little boy, you can't see the bottom, he's holding a little basket, and there's the rabbi holding the Torah, and on the bottom there's paving. Again, this is unfortunately cropped. The top, on the right of the painting, the dome, it was originally in gold, and it was a Jewish client, and when I presented her the finished work before framing, she said she didn't like the gold. It reminded her too much of the mosque.
Yeah, the Dome of the Rock.
Dome of the Rocks.
Yeah.
So I said, but there are gold you know, there are gold roofs in Jerusalem is very, you know, mixed with all the buildings. So
It's not called Jerusalem Shel Zahava for nothing.
I
City of gold.
changed it. Sorry?
It's the city of gold.
Yeah. It wasn't a problem to paint. I was more offended that she didn't like it, but it wasn't an issue. So I just painted the gold out and then undercoated it in a pale brown and then added the brown shadings. And then she loved the painting. And then, of course, there are a lot of cats in Jerusalem, stray cats. So that would be the
And
shul
Mrs.
entrance.
Katz.
Sorry,
And Mrs. Katz.
and Mrs. Katz, and that's the doors. That's the doors to the shul, and then the little village with the other rabbi peeping over, looking over the balcony, and the little buildings in the background. This one took about 2 weeks. It was quite
labor intensive. Wow.
Yeah, very labor intensive.
This one I love. Here, there's one of the zebras. Zebra.
This one I call Tropical Fantasy. I also looked for reference on a zebra because I thought a zebra's got so many different designs on it. And then I put the toucan bird in because, I mean, I don't know where toucans are mainly from South America. And so it's a combination of my tropical fantasy. And then I did 2 versions of this. The one was without a little boy, and that's hanging at a guest house in Melville in Johannesburg in the entrance, because they had a sort of the foyer, they had zebra covers. The chairs were covered in a zebra material.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And they wanted a picture of the painting of the zebra. And then somebody had seen this and they commissioned me, but they wanted a person in it. So I added the little boy and the bird, and then the toucan was always there. And then, of course, a lot of the bottom of the painting is cropped a lot, you know, as well, because on Zoom it's cropped, but there's a lot of tropical flowers on that as well on the bottom there. So this one is also sold, both actually sold. And then I take pictures of whatever I do so that I've got a reference to it all. This one was a big hit on Facebook. This is called the Blue Yacht, the Royal Blue Yacht. The buildings are all very whimsical and very angled. And the 2 little birds, the red just pops, and I love the turquoise sort of water, and then the pale powder blue flowers, and the royal blue yacht. For me, this just worked like a dream. And those color combination of the sea and the boats, the yacht, and the birds, and the village. This sold within an hour of posting it. In fact, the guy saw it and he wanted it, and he came to the house and he said, "God, I love all of your work." And he said, "I can't decide which." And he said, "You know what? I'll have this one. I love that one. I have that one. I want this one." He ended up taking 7 paintings.
Oh, wow. So everybody needs a customer like that.
Yeah, and they were all framed, and that was really great. This was like a couple of months ago I sold it. Yeah, so that was really, I mean, you don't often have that, but I was blessed, you know.
That's absolutely fantastic. I love this. This is Monty. Wasn't this Monty? Monty Goes Fishing.
Monty Goes Fishing. Again, he's on point. God knows why I put him on point, because he's rather portly. But just to add a bit of whimsical humor to it, and the bottom fish is looking very inquisitively up at Monty. I don't know how he fitted into that rubber tube around his waist, because he's rather large, and he's waving hello to everybody. And the lake or the dam is very tranquil. I love doing that sort of turquoisey, it's viridian blue, and then you keep adding white to it. So you started with a solid viridian, and then you keep adding white and you do it in sort of brush strokes, but you have to work quickly on that. So from dark to light. And the little fish looking inquisitively while Monty's caught his mate on the end of the line. And I thought Monty could only have I knew somebody called Monty, and he had the strange hairstyle. He was going bald, and he had this tuft on the top and on either side. So I thought, well, he looked like a Monty as I was finishing it. I just thought, he's got to be Monty. So I called him Monty.
Monty.
Monty goes fishing. Okay, this one is also you losing a lot on the bottom.
And a bit
All
on
the
the top,
flowers.
unfortunately.
Yeah, this is called the Star Collector. So he's got a little fez hat on, and he's got again, the top is cropped and the bottoms, all these flowers are cropped. Lots of flowers underneath, and the opaque trees, the whimsical houses that are very different angles. This was great fun to do. Also was sold within a week, and he's collecting the stars, and he's flying through the night and collecting the stars. I thought I'm going to call him the Star Collector. And I added, the body was like, I thought I must just do it flat, straight, I curved the body. So just to give it some movement and more, just to add a bit of whimsy, so I angled his feet to the one side and the head to the other side, and then the wonky little village below. It all adds the humor and the quaintness to the painting. And then the little trees are you can see the solid oak, the wood, and then there's a wash over the trees, the little lollipop trees on that. This was great fun doing, and it also sold very quickly.
But you can't see in the top corner is the bird.
Sorry?
You can't see in this top corner, there's a bird.
Yeah, sitting on the moon.
Yeah.
This I actually had in the Killarney Gallery when we were exhibiting together, and a woman came in and bought 3 of the works from that gallery. That actually I sold. That was a pop-up supposed to be for a month. It ended up a year, and I sold about 60 paintings that year. It was absolutely fabulous for me.
Wow,
that's where I met you.
Yes, yeah. That's exactly where we met.
And I used to sit and paint in the gallery.
Well, that's always a good thing.
People used to see me painting, and they used to pop in and come in and look. This one is called Rosemary, very elegant lady. I just thought I wanted to do something more melancholy. And Rosemary, she looked like a Rosemary because she's very stylishly dressed. And she was thinking about her lover, her lost lover, who she broke up with. And then the pears are a lovely combination against the royal blue table. And there's a little pear on the bottom. There's a white doily under the pear, like the same doily as under the vase, which you can't see. And then those colors, the flowers on the vase, just popped for me. The whole painting just worked for me. And then on the right is this sort of cactus, whatever you call those mother-in-law tongues. This sold also, went off to Cape Town. It was framed, and I couriered it to Cape Town. And this was I was quite sad to see this go, because she was really a beautiful, beautiful painting. But I'm just a custodian of all my paintings. They come and they go. They come and they go. I need to earn a living, and now that I'm painting full time, I can't afford to be sentimental about it.
Well, so, this having an emotional attachment to your work is very difficult.
Especially if it's something really nice that I really like and I'd like to keep it. But when somebody wants to buy it, I think, you know what, I can always do another one. But I never repeat. I never repeat the work, because I don't want people say, is it done again? And I say, no, I don't, unless it's specific commission. And they say, can you do that again? I say, look, I'll do it again, but I change it. I change the colors, I change the hat. So I never do the exact painting the same.
Okay.
This one I thought, why not do a purple cat? I called it the Purple Putty Tat, as in the Sylvester and Tweety comics used to call it. Tweety used to call him Putty Tat. So I thought, why not do a wacky purple Putty Tat, and with a bluebells and that gorgeous turquoisey yellow. And there's, you can see the heart on the right of the tree sitting in the little branches there, and the little bird sitting on top. very snug and whistling a little tune. And this was also
And the
a fun one to
bluebells.
do with the bluebells and these also the colors worked, the bluebells and then the turquoise and the purple, it just popped the colors for me.
Lovely. Okay, I think there's one more. This is one of my favorite pieces that I looked through a lot of your pieces to get pictures. This is Rabbi Mendel Goes for a Walk.
Yeah, this one is hanging in the gallery at Alive Art in Weinberg. They've got a gallery there. And I did 3 Jewish themed ones. This one is a very, very wacky because the bird is holding a fish on a piece of string, and the other bird is floating. I mean, the fish is the bird is holding the string, catching the fish, and the other fish is swimming underneath. It's totally off, having the fish swimming in the middle of nowhere. And then I added a few raindrops. Initially, the painting had a lot of raindrops all over the whole painting, but it was too much. So I had to paint them out, which was quite a job because I had to match up the color of the background.
Yeah.
And but this one, as I said, is hanging at a Live Art gallery in Weinberg. It's beautifully framed. It is available. I don't often do Jewish themes because it's very specific.
Yeah, it's somewhat limiting for your audience.
Yeah, it's limiting for my audience because, I mean, I've sold to so many people from all walks of life, different religions and different backgrounds. So I keep the paintings not really religious, but sometimes I'll add a little Star of David because I am Jewish. And that's, my roots are from Lithuania, as most of us Jews are from. So I do add a Jewish feel to it. And of course, I love Chagall's work. He's my mentor. If I could choose any painting, it would be Chagall. One of his, if I could afford it. And there's one, that's all the work. There's just there's a few other books I'll quickly show you. This was a book I did on Naivance. I showed you that. And then there's one on acrylic painting, which I'm also featured in. And there's another one on portraits, all my lady portraits, which I'm also, you can see one of my portraits. My CV on the right, I've got about 10 portraits. A lot of the neck is a bit Modigliani-ish. There we go. And then,
it looks like Elvis on the right there.
Elvis.
Justin, there's a question for you. Do you know Cheryl Rumbach, Alan Bell, Gail Altshuler, Ian Johnston? They were all good artists from that period. By that period, we're talking about the 70s and early 80s. Any of those names? Bells?
Alan Bell.
Yeah, Alan Bell.
I think he lives in London, if I'm not mistaken. And we Facebook friends.
I think he lives in Amsterdam. Sorry.
Amsterdam.
Yes, he was very good. He's very good friends with Cheryl Rumbach, who's my sister-in-law, who owns Cork Bay Art Gallery.
Okay, no, I don't. The other name, I don't know. Cheryl. I mean, there's a lot of the artists. I can't. If I saw their work, maybe I could say. But with all the acquaintances on Facebook, I can't remember each artist's name unless they're posting regularly on Facebook. I would know their work, but more specifically, I'll know them if they're naive artists. Then I know their
Ian
work.
Johnston taught at the art school during roughly the period you're talking about in the late 70s, early 80s, I think, or early 80s.
67. No, I'd already left art school.
But was he not a student with you, Ian Johnston? He looked sort of like a monk, quite a tall sort of.
No, I normally remember the names, but we're talking. I was at art school in
the Dark Ages.
In the 70s, and all these people who were with me at art school, most of them have not really doing anything. I think Express Graphics, where I order my paint from, the owner of that, he's recently passed away. He was in my class, Wilfred Olio. He was at my class in art school. But a lot of them have just disappeared. I don't know where, into oblivion.
And you know Cork Bay Art Gallery, or not really?
No, I've actually been there, and I think I showed them my work a few years ago, and she said she'd love to have the work, but I don't think I took it any further, because a lot of the galleries take your work on consignment.
Yes, she does.
Sorry?
She definitely does, I think. What Ellen is, she does.
They all take it on consignment, and then they add a 40% markup, and then it's the issue of getting the work over to Cape Town, and then if they don't sell it, then you've got to get it back, so you've got to pay the courier fees. And I had 3 solo exhibitions in Cape Town, but then I flew down for the openings, and they were all successful, so I had very few left to bring back with me, and most of the work was sold in the end. Way after the exhibition, I left them in the gallery. But I have basically been doing my own marketing and selling through a lot through Facebook, a lot through people who bought my work before. And so I don't really, I was with the Sherry de Villiers Gallery in Johannesburg. She's in Hyde Park. I was with her for 17 years. And she sold a fortune, about 200-300 of my work.
And can I ask roughly, what does the works cost? I mean, I know it's how long is a piece of string, but...
Well, my works will start at this size. You're talking of my price is this size.
Yes.
I would sell it about 5,500 framed, 5,000 unframed. In the gallery, they would mark them up to 8,000 or 9,000 rand.
Wow.
But I know, their work goes up to 18, 17, 16,000 rand. But I know that I keep my prices affordable, and I know what my work sells at, because having sold so many, and I know how much time I put into it.
Sure.
And I know nobody can repeat or reproduce what I'm doing, because it's taken me 40 years to get where I've got today.
And like a painting like that Jerusalem one, I mean, what would something like that cost?
That's quite a big one. That would cost, if I did it unframed, it would cost about 11,000 rand, and framed it would be about 12,500.
Okay.
The gallery would sell it at 17 or 18,000. It was quite a big one. I mean, it was like about a meter, a half a meter. It was done on a canvas board, but that took a lot of work. So that, if somebody asked me to do it, it would be about framed about 12 grand and unframed about 10.5 grand. But that took about 2 weeks to do.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah, there are a lot of
beautiful.
Yeah, I don't.
It's absolutely beautiful.
I don't. If you go onto Facebook, you'll see on my page, Justin Abelman, Naive Artist. Who am I speaking to?
Melanie.
Melanie, I see you there. Hi, Melanie.
In the UK.
If you go to my Facebook page, Justin Abelman, Naive Artist, you'll see all the works there. Go to photos, and then you'll see all the work there. Or otherwise, I've got a blog.
I'll share the link, don't worry.
Yeah, the blog's got all my work, all the work I've done, most of it, except the very earlier works, are on the blog. But I can't even remember half the work. You know, now and again, somebody will send me a picture of a painting they bought 10 years ago, and I think, oh my word, I can't even remember. I remember the painting, but I don't remember who bought it. But it just, think, wow. I sometimes think, have I actually sold so many works? It's like, I think, how could I have created so many paintings? But it is a period of 40 years, so it's been a lifetime of work. And
That's why I closed the
so at least when I go one day, I leave my little legacy of artworks around the world, and my name.
That's quite a legacy, Justin. Quite a legacy.
Yeah, but you know how artists feel always insecure and not knowing, you know, will they be remembered? And you know, but I mean, my work has appeared in lots of art books, and it's been shared hundreds of times. Yeah, it's just all through Facebook. Facebook has been absolutely fantastic for my work. I don't post nonsense like I had a fried egg this morning and show the picture of the egg. You know what I mean? Or had a haircut and show the picture of my haircut. I keep it purely to actually show my artwork and to promote my artwork and the group that I run on Facebook.
Justin, it's been absolutely fabulous chatting to you today. Your work is fantastic. I've seen it in the flesh. The colors are vibrant. I don't think the colors actually showed up so well on the images on the computer, but the colors are magnificent. They're vibrant. It's such a pleasure.
You don't, nothing really. I mean, that painting in the background behind me on the wall there, if you can see it, it looks like very faded, but it's actually quite crisp and colorful. So as you rightly say, a lot of the colors in reality are much more crisp and much brighter. And you can only see when you actually see the actual painting.
Yeah,
they really
absolutely.
like. Yeah, you lose a lot of it. But it's only a pleasure, and I hope whoever's been watching enjoyed it. I hope I didn't ramble on too much.
Not too much.
And too much. Thank you for inviting me, Mandy,
It's an
to
absolute
chat about
pleasure.
my
Thank
career
you, Justin. Lovely.
and my dancing. And stay well, everybody, and enjoy the weekend.
You too, my love. Goodbye, everyone. Join us
Bye,
next week.
everybody.
We've got a fabulous
Thanks,
lineup for
Thanks.
next week. We'll send it out
Bye.
later. Bye, all.
Cheers.